Welcome to those of you that tune in to watch this video. Appreciate you guys taking the time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Smith. I am a senior at Edinburgh University, majoring in H.P.E. So I am coming up on my last 2 weeks here of classes. I should be student teaching right now, but unfortunately, since the pandemic and everything that's going on, we have an alternate assignment to do, so this is why I'm making this video. One of our assignments that we have to do, one of my final projects actually to graduate, is to do a reflection and do a PowerPoint on my first student teaching placement. So I thought I would just make a video as well, since this is my last project I'm ever going to do. Also feel like it's just more heartfelt, just easier kind of to explain some of the things I went through as well. So that's why I'm making this video. So again, thank you for tuning in. So we'll just dive on right into it. So the first placement, my first student teaching placement, was at James W. Middle School. For those of you that grew up around the area, it's obviously right down the road from Edinburgh. I was super excited when I found out that I was going to be student teaching there. I grew up around the area as well, so I went to Fairview. I know how good of a district General McLean is, so I was pretty thrilled when I got the news that I was going to go there. In middle school as well. I think so far middle school has probably been my favorite students to be around, so I was pretty excited about that. So diving on into this, my school schedule overview. So they had alternating days there, block schedule. So they had a day one, day two, which was kind of nice. Saw different kids every other day, excuse me. So it was nice to see new faces every day. Kind of made planning a little more easier as well, because you could just plan for 2 days in a row, because you basically did the same thing on those 2 days. So my report time, I had to be there at 7:25 a.m. The buses unloaded the kids at 7:35 a.m. and then homeroom bell was at 7:50 a.m. and then first class started at 8 a.m. The end of day was 2:45 p.m. So as you see, if you went through the PowerPoint, my personal teaching schedule, so day one, day two, I had 6 different classes each day. So I did a total of 12 different classes, and a variety of classes in there as well. So I had 5th grade health, 6th grade PE, 7th grade PE, 8th grade PE, and then 8th grade healthy living class as well, which was a new class they just made this year, so I'll dive into that here shortly, but that was fun to be a part of. So their H.P.E department, they have 3 people in their H.P.E department. Mr. Yon, he went to General McLean as well. He's also an Edinburgh alum. I think he's been teaching here at 3 or 4 years. Mr. McCormick was one of the other ones. This is his first year teaching there, actually. So it's kind of nice to see how he handled situations as well. He graduated from Slippery Rock University, and I believe he's from the Pittsburgh area. The third person, who was my cooperating teacher, was Mr. Marifine. Mr. Marifine has 11 years teaching experience. He taught 9 years at Edinburgh Elementary before he transitioned up to the middle school. So this is his second year at the middle school. Should also mention Mrs. Leinhart. My fellow student, Hallie Leinhart, was Mr. Yon's cooperating teacher as well. So we saw a lot of each other, which was kind of nice, because at the beginning they combined classes quite a bit. So we got to bounce ideas off of each other a lot. Sometimes did some units together and cooperated teacher to get together as well. So that was a good experience. It was a lot of fun. All right. So Mr. Marifine, just you obviously saw some of his accomplishments and everything that I posted on the PowerPoint if you already went through that. So he's from Cambridge Springs originally, graduated in 2003. He was inducted in the 2017 Cambridge Springs Hall of Fame. For football, he was a 4-year starter on the offensive line at Kent State. He was Rookie of the Year, Offensive Lineman of the Year. He played alongside people like Joshua Cribbs, who played in the NFL, and Julian Edelman as well, which is really cool. He also still holds weightlifting records there for squat, bench press, and then bench press reps, which is very pretty impressive. So 11 years teaching, 9 years at Edinburgh Elementary, and then this is his second year here. Really couldn't ask for a better cooperating teacher. He was awesome. Really guided me along the way through my journey there at James Parker Middle School. He was such a great mentor. He always had such a calm demeanor about himself. He would rarely ever get upset about anything or yell. You hardly ever saw him yell. He was a great listener, always encouraged students, very involved, very respectful as well, which is one of the key things that I think I took away from student teaching. You've got to always be respectful to students. If they don't respect you, if you don't respect them, they're likely not going to respect you, and probably for good reason. If you don't respect them, why should they respect you? And the main thing I learned from him is how to handle certain situations, for sure. He was so great at handling situations. Again, like I said, always had a calm demeanor about him. So he kind of just got to the root of every problem. Like, even if there's a problem in class or with students or anything like that, he had a calm way of just handling every situation, which was really nice to see. And it was very helpful as well. All right, so moving on. Classes taught again, 12 different classes. Just went through them: 5th grade health, 6th grade PE, 7th grade, 8th grade PE, and 8th grade healthy living class as well. So the healthy living class, which I will talk to you about. So I was 8th grade healthy living class. Is the first year they did it. So it was kind of interesting to be a part of, because they just created it, and it's kind of a hybrid class. So they only do it half the class because it is an elective there. So when I got there, they were trained. It was basically the beginning of the second time that they were doing it. So Mr. Marifine took this class over, and again, he's basically just creating the curriculum while he's doing it right now. So I got to be a part of that, which was really cool. So like I said, it's kind of a hybrid class, again, called Healthy Living. So we turned it into like a health/PE class. Again, part of healthy living and living a healthy lifestyle is being active. So we try to get the students out of the classroom some of the time as well. So obviously, like, we did a bunch of health issues and stuff like that. So we started with like a nutrition unit, but then I kind of took over, and Mr. Marifine kind of let me kind of gauge what I wanted to do with it, which was cool, because he just wanted to see what ideas I could come up with, different things that he had. So if he wanted to insert it into the curriculum, kind of. So it was a great opportunity for me, great to be a part of. So what I did, one of my main things that I did during that class was took them down to the high school weight room. So the high school is right next to the middle school. It's probably about like 100 yards away to the weight room. So a lot of times we took them down there. I made a workout log for them. So they had to do the workouts. Obviously, we went through everything first, showed them like certain lifting cues, the proper way to do all the exercises, went over with them. And then after we went through the workout log, which took a couple days, it takes a little bit to get down there and get back up to the school. So that took a couple days, and then I had them create their own workout logs. So they had to do their own workout logs, and then they had to create a video with a partner where they did a workout, and they had to describe the workout, what muscles they were using and were involved in that, and things like that. So they had to make a little short video on that. And they worked with a partner with that, so it was one of their main projects they had to do. That was a lot of fun just to be a part of that class, so I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. All right, going to 6th grade PE. So the units taught in there, we had basketball, fitness, volleyball, team games, dance, rollerblading, and hockey, as you saw in the PowerPoint. All the 2-week-long courses had a quiz at the end. So kind of like the first day of each unit, we would go over like the like some of the rules, things like that, and things that were going to be on the quiz. And then we kind of go over it towards the end too, before they took the quiz. But so all the 2-week courses had quizzes. The 1-week ones did not. We actually just used their quizzes during the PE units because they didn't want to change them up. Unfortunately, they just wanted to keep them the same for everyone. So we didn't get to do any quizzes for that. But one of my favorite units taught in this, especially for 6th grade, was dance. The dance unit was an absolute blast. If you looked over through the slides already, hopefully those videos worked for you and got to see kind of how it worked out. Those are kind of like the end results of some of the dances that we did. Obviously, we break it all down at the beginning and go step by step before we actually just do the whole thing all together. But I was really nervous about doing the dance unit initially. I have no rhythm, so a little nervous diving into it. But the 6th graders loved it. They were so great with it. Again, just trying to go in with a positive attitude is extremely important during all that. So I just try to make the most of it, joke around during it, and it ended up being a blast. As you can see, even in the videos, like, I had so much fun doing that. It was probably one of my favorite units that I taught, actually. Not so much with the 7th and 8th graders, because they did the dance unit as well. It was a little tougher to get through it with them, but we made it through. It was a lot of fun. So the fitness unit was another good one with them. They have at James Parker Middle School, they have the heart rate monitor watches, which is really cool. It's great how they have it set up. They just have them hooked up on a wall. Each student is given a number, like at the beginning of the year. So they all had their numbers already. And they would just come in if we were using them for like the fitness unit or whatever unit we were using them for. We would just tell them to put their stuff away, go get their watches on first before they went and got changed. And they could just scan them right in. They had everyone on a list in the computer, so once it's scanned in, they were locked in for that day, and then they'd scan them out at the end of the day, and it would keep track of like where the heart rate was and everything. So we could print those out, and they could see those. So that was really cool. Um, yeah, so those are my two favorite ones that we did for sixth grade. Seventh and eighth grade PE. So seventh and eighth grade curriculum was the same. Excuse me, sorry. So fifth and sixth grade was all the same. I don't have any fifth grade PE, and then seventh and eighth grade was the same. So we did basketball, jump rope, volleyball, team games, dance, team building, nitro, and angle ball. Jump rope was one of the ones that I was actually nervous for the seventh and eighth grade PE as well. That ended up again being a lot of fun. Students didn't seem too excited about it, but they ended up having a blast. So we did a lot of like different activities with them too, and kind of gave them their own options of what they wanted to do, which again I feel helps out a lot too. If you give them a little leeway of what they want to do, they seem to be more engaged and active. If you give them kind of their own options. So we had a bunch of games like the Thunderstick game where there's a tennis ball tied to the end of a rope, and you can like just spin it around. They have to jump over it. They love that. You can get a huge group doing that too. So kind of do like a knockout version of that. Double Dutch, just a single rope, giant rope. And then we went over partner things. So Miss Lionheart and I would show them some partner tricks that you could do with one rope, which was a lot of fun as well. So they were trying to do those. Same with the team building week. That unit went well as well. So we had a bunch of different activities. We had them in like two separate gyms basically. We'd alternate each day where they were going to go. So we had about 5 stations in each gym, and then we'd alternate them. But we did a lot of cool things with them as well. And again, they seemed pretty engaged and active. We'd let them pick out their own groups, so they were at least with who they wanted to be, and they seemed to be more motivated that way. If we had problems, we'd just split them up. Fifth grade health. I was nervous to teach fifth grade health at first, actually, honestly. I'm not entirely sure why. It worked out perfect because when I got there, again, health is one that they only do half the year. So when I got there, they were ending the first week I was there. They were ending, and then we had all new students. So I got to basically start it brand new with these kids, which was nice. So I could start right at the beginning. Excuse me. I still had to do within the curriculum that Mr. Marifine had, but he let me do pretty much like whatever I wanted as long as it was related to what he had in the curriculum. So the overall view of the curriculum for fifth grade health that they had was the health triangle. So 3 sides of the health triangle. They had physical health, social health, mental, and emotional health. And then so we dive down into detail in each side. So I started with physical health, started with a nutrition unit, and that one lasted about 2 weeks. I have a sample sample unit lesson plan in there. Hopefully those all worked out for you. And then a hygiene unit, and then safety unit. So we did like a food safety, and then online safety, which I found was extremely important. That was one of my favorite units to teach, actually. So during the online safety unit, obviously in today's age, internet's everywhere. There's social media everywhere. There's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Basically all the students have something. And a lot of their parents don't supervise them on these things, which is one thing we went over. I really liked that lesson plan and unit plan because there was so much activity from the students, a lot of engaging conversation during that, which is great. I think that's extremely important. You want to make sure that all your students are being engaged. Get them in group discussions. Also have activities for them to do together and activities throughout. You don't want just notes for everything. I found a good way to keep them motivated and engaged is to do a lot of activities with them. So we did a lot of like Kahoots, Quizlets. We did like word searches and stuff like that. I had them fill out like some vocabulary worksheets, crosswords, like I said. So they really seemed to enjoy that. Fifth grade health was probably one of my favorite things to teach. It was a great transition going from PE to health as well. So it's a nice little change throughout the day. So I really enjoyed that. One thing that I found difficult, one of the most difficulties I found teaching was trying to gauge how long my lessons were going to be, especially in the health classroom, because you never really know how it's going to go. As much as you plan for it, obviously things change. So you want to make sure you're always open and you can make adjustments on the fly. Again, if students start asking a lot of questions, I'd like to have them ask questions. Like, that's phenomenal. If we have discussion all class, that's fine. We can always wait, change, do what we needed to do next class if we didn't get to it. but it keeps the students engaged, like I said. But that was the hardest part for me, was probably trying to gauge how long my lessons were going to be at first. So that took me like a couple of weeks to kind of get adjusted to make sure like I knew exactly how it was going to go. And again, with each class, it just comes with knowing your students. Each class is different. One class will maybe have 100 questions, and another class will have 0 and won't talk much or won't engage much. So you'll get through your activities in your lesson quicker. So that just comes with being with your students and learning about your students and learning about your classroom. But that was a lot of fun. Loved my 5th grade health classes. So lesson planning. It wasn't mandatory for us to do detailed lesson plans. So at first, initially, I started with, especially like my PE ones, I started kind of just short, like they just wanted like bullet points, just kind of an overview of what we were going to do. But after like a week or two, I just started making mine pretty detailed. So I'd have like a unit summary, goals and objectives. Again, hopefully these all worked and you could pull them up on my PowerPoint. So I just tried to make them as detailed as possibly as I could. So I had all the goals, objectives, and a nice good overview of what I was going to do for the unit. This way, if I ever need to use them again, hopefully I can use them in the future here shortly. So I just wanted to have nice detailed lessons. Alright. So some of my main takeaways, as you saw in the PowerPoint, always have a plan. Like I just said, you want to make sure that you have a good lesson plan. If you don't put a lot into your lesson plans, it's probably not going to turn out well. Students probably aren't going to gain much from it, and you probably aren't going to gain much from it either. So the more effort you put in your lesson, the better it's probably going to be, and the more the students will probably gain from that. Have routine set in place. Again, that's every time we had our health class, we'd come in, we'd usually have a bell ringer, and then I'd have exactly listed what we were going to do for the day on the board every day. So students knew what was expected of them and what we were going to be doing that day. Again, kind of get them focused and ready to go and just know what's expected of them. Same with gym. We'd come in every day. If they were getting their watches, they knew as soon as they walked in, they go get their watches, sit down in their home base spots that they all had, so we could do attendance real quick, and then we just start with a warm up or go into our activities. So always had specific routines. Just get them right and know what they're expected. All right. So find common ground with students is extremely important as well. I know there's definitely a few students that we didn't get along with at first, but actually they ended up kind of being some of my best students towards the end. Once you find kind of common ground with students, you guys respect each other more. That helps out tremendously. So that's another big one. Always be open-minded and patient. Gotta be patient in teaching, especially with the younger kids. Middle school, not so much, but especially elementary school, definitely have to have a high patience level for sure. And always be open-minded. Sometimes students have like the greatest ideas ever, and you might not even think of anything like that. So be open-minded. Again, you always got to be able to make adjustments on the fly is another thing. Another thing I have is be respectful to the students as well as encouraging. So again, like I said earlier, you have to be respectful to your students. If you don't respect your students, why should they respect you? And they probably won't respect you for good reason. So always be respectful to your students. Always hear them out. Always be encouraging. Positive reinforcement goes a long way, especially with the younger kids, 5th and 6th grade. 7th and 8th grade, not as much, but 5th and 6th grade for sure. Positive reinforcement, they love that. They eat it up. So positive reinforcement, be respectful, be involved and engaging. This one's huge. This is probably one of the main things that I live by. Always be involved, actually want to be there and be involved with your students. There's a difference between just showing up, going through the motions, and just being there. Be involved. Like you should want to be there, like, and help these kids grow and succeed. So be involved, and it can be a great way to encourage and have the students want to be there. A lot of the times during some activities, you can see some kids or they're not really engaged and they're not having a fun time. A lot of time I would just jump in with my students and start playing with them. Like if we're playing a game or an activity, I would just jump in and start playing with them. And they love that. They're like, oh, let's beat Mr. Smith. Like, oh, let's try and beat the teacher. It really gets them motivated to try and do better. So that's one thing that I really try to do, is be involved with my students as much as I can be. Again, you have to actually truly care about your students. If you're not there, if you don't care about your students, like, you shouldn't be in this profession. So That's one of my main things. Make sure you truly care about your students and want to see them grow and succeed, and you should want to. Um, yeah, so those are my main takeaways. Um, Again, this is my last video that I'm probably ever doing. Thank you everyone that took the time to watch this video. Really excited for the future. Looking forward to see what the future holds. Hopefully my future is bright. And thank my friends, family, everyone that helped me through this, especially my H.P.E advisors and professors. You guys are awesome. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully someday I can be as good as a teacher as you guys. So thank you guys so much. And everyone stay safe out there. Take care of yourself. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.